Well, more Ghost of Tsushima salt. You know, I thought that this would kind of be over by now, but it seems like there's always somebody a little upset about this game. I find it kind of hilarious because if you don't like the game, why don't you just not play it? I mean, that is an option. You could just not play the game. You could just not buy the game. Isn't that the problem? Doesn't that solve the problem right there? But that's never an option because it's not about them just not supporting it. It's always about you not being able to play it. I don't like it, so therefore I'm going to make sure you don't get to play it. It's really ridiculous. But this time, we're not looking at people in the West, where we normally look at people acting like big babies. No, we're going to go over to China, because apparently they don't like the game over there. They consider it a little racist, because you beat up Mongols who invaded Japan. You, of course, are playing a samurai that lives in Japan. Well, more specifically on the island of Tsushima. And your job is to take back your country. That's really, at the end of the day, the end goal is to get rid of the invaders. But apparently this is a problem, and it's sparking a debate over the game in China, which I think is kind of funny. There's actually some really salty comments here. Take a look at what they have to say. In Ghost of Tsushima, the Mongols are the bad guys. That may seem like a harmless premise for the action game set in the 13th century, but it has kicked off a lively online debate that pitches Chinese nationalists against supporters of Sony's new PlayStation 4 title. Taking place during the first Mongol invasion of Japan, the game portrays Japanese warriors as heroes defending their home, the island of Tsushima, against ruthless foreign invaders. Well, that is what's going on. I mean, they are invading the island. I mean, how else should we portray the character Jin in the game? Should he be evil for fighting back to save his homeland? I don't understand that. How else are you supposed to... How is he supposed to show and portray the invaders of Tsushima? I mean, it's kind of pretty cut and dry, I think. I went and watched a couple documentaries on what actually happened, and it's pretty close to the truth. At least not, I mean, I didn't see much about the, Jin character, but they ruthlessly invaded that island, and they did some pretty nasty stuff. They took like a bunch of the people and made them like a chain link necklace of people and put them on their ship or something. Like, it was a pretty disgusting invasion. Some of the stuff with the samurai was pretty interesting. There's one that's like field commander, because the Japanese, like the samurai, are very proficient with swords. So they're like cutting down Mongols, and he took out this officer and stood over him and started yelling for, more Mongols to come and say, like, what are you going to do about it? Expecting him to be demoralized. And then they just like loaded him up with arrows. It's a pretty brutal invasion. So I'd say that the way that's depicted in the game is pretty accurate. Gamers play the role of Jin Sakai, a lone samurai who moves through Mongol forces like a mysterious ghost, hunting them from the shadows or engaging them in face-to-face combat to liberate his home. While this conflict takes place far from China, the Mongols are also major players in a turbulent time in Chinese history, or were also major players in a turbulent time in Chinese history. At the time, the Mongols were already in control of northern China. They eventually became the first group other than Han Chinese to take over the entire country for nearly a century. Today, some argue that the Mongols who occupied China should also be considered Chinese people. Japan, on the other hand, is considered an enemy because of the country's invasion of China before World War II. So this is where the problem is. And now they show us some comments of people that are a little upset with the game. Now, to be fair, this is just a handful of people. I don't think it represents the entire country. But Japan did invade China, and I really think that there's some tension there between the two countries, and it seems to reflect a lot of these comments. I'm not going to read all of them. I'm just going to go through a couple, like this one. I get it. This is us Chinese people watching a game made by Americans about how the Japanese people defended against the Mongols 800 years ago. One person quipped. A bunch of Chinese people trying to find national pride in a Japanese game made in the U.S. How inferior is that? Ghost of Tsushima is made by Washington-based studio Sucker Punch Productions. Its first new game in 6 years. A few people were a little upset about the lack of global blockbusters made in China, suggesting that the game could help shape the country's image around the world. To put it bluntly, if you can't make a good game that's popular around the world, you're losing another voice in cultural diplomacy. When is China going to make a game as high quality that depicts the brutality of the Japanese military? Another asked. Some of the other comments in the article are a little bit more dicey. So I can give you kind of a short version of one where they said, "I stand with the Mongols," and stuff like that. So I'm not going to go through all of them. These were the tamer ones. But anyway, I think it's interesting to get this perspective. What do they think about the game? It's always interesting to get every side possible to a story, I think. So anyway, I wonder how much more will come out about this game. I don't think much more. I think this story is about wrapped up. I just wanted to go through this because I thought it was interesting to see what they were saying about the game, and I thought it would make for a fun short video. So that's pretty much it. The game is still selling well. Talked about this yesterday. It's doing well in Japan, selling out. In fact, can't really find copies anywhere. And people seem to love the game. Still high score on Metacritic. Just keeps going up for the user scores. And I would imagine that as word of mouth gets around, more people will pick the game up. And because the game actually takes a while to beat, it's a much better value than The Last of Us 2. I don't think you'll see used copies flooded like that game. You won't see a flooded used copy market for Ghost of Tsushima like you did with Last of Us 2, which I think is kind of funny. No problem finding copies of Last of Us 2 all over the place. I'll tell you, very easy to find a secondhand copy of that pile of trash. Anyway, that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Leave me your comments below. Tell me what you think about all of this. How do you feel? Are you shocked? Are you surprised? Not surprised? Let me know how you feel. Also, if you would, hit that notification bell. Throw a like up, share the video, make sure you're still subscribed. Subscribe if you're new. Hit that notification bell, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace. Also, if you want to help support the channel, check out my Teespring store. There's a link in the description. You can find some merchandise in there that you might want to check out.